So we continue with our topic. Topic is just remind us is Yichud, right? And Yichud we said is what? Is the seclusion of Jewish men and Jewish women together. Okay. So there is we said there is some exception. Right, so an exception would be parents and children. So a father can be secluded with his daughters, with his sister, with his mother, with his wife, of course, right? Okay. And okay, continue. I'm not going to repeat what we said last time. Okay, so. Yichud between Jew and non-Jew is forbidden, but it's rabbinically. We had a question in a different class, so they say it's not biblical. Okay, it's not biblical, but it's still forbidden. I mean, it does not change anything. Okay, so let's quickly just read. This can be relevant to a man at home with a cleaning help or at work with a fellow employee. Right, so maybe when he's a doctor and there is a nurse or a secretary, that would be an issue. There is dispute between among the poskim, where a non-Jewish woman being married upgraded to the Prohibition Torah law status. Okay, so the seclusion of the Jewish woman and a non-Jewish man is also prohibited. Okay. All right. So new material, public places. If man is alone with a woman, but the door is open to the area where people can pass by at any time, then it is not considered a Yichud situation and is therefore permitted. This is relevant when the room opens to the street, hallway, or any other public area. If the door is open, but it is to a place where people do not expect it to pass, but by within the next 5 minutes, this is still prohibited. Sorry. One must bear in mind that the time of the day plays major role in whether the particular situation constitutes Yichud. Just one second. I want to see if we're going to see, let's say, about cars, but it's also, I'm not sure, maybe yes, it also applies to giving somebody a lift, especially when it's at night, right? So not allowed. Okay, so let's see. This paragraph from the beginning, and we're going to explain. If man is alone with a woman, but the door is open to an area where can pass by at any time, then it is not considered a Yichud situation and therefore is permitted. I guess maybe some kind of office when people just walk in, like drop by, I don't know, something, right? Or store. Okay, so that would be no problem, right? You never know when somebody is going to come in. Okay. This is relevant when the room opens to the street, so like to some public area, meaning to the street, meaning that anybody can come in, right? Hallways or other public area. Okay. If the door is open, but to the place where people do not expect it to pass by within the next 5 minutes, maybe some like on the back of the store or the office, right? So people, I mean, of course there are maybe delivery people, maybe yes, maybe no, but if nobody would come in next 5 minutes, that's it. So that's as we said, that's how much the whole procedure takes. This is still forbidden. So if it's more than 5 minutes, and like they know for sure, like in an example that I give, this delivery people, right? So maybe for 1 hour it's going to be no delivery. Like where I used to work, we had the minyan, and this minyan was behind the stores, like in delivery area. So they gave us some some room. It was not a room. It was like basically in the hallway. And many times when we pray mincha there were no people, no delivery, or sometimes maybe one delivery, maybe in in a few weeks. That's it. So that's kind of situation, right? And in many stores the door were open to the back, right, to the hall where we're praying. Okay, so that's this kind of situation. One must bear in mind that at the time of the day plays major role, and we're going to discuss what time of the day, in whether the particular situation constitutes yichud. Okay, so we'll see, especially in the night when it's not so visible what's going on. So that's of course it's much stricter. The poskim discussed at length situation when the door is closed but unlocked. The final ruling is that it depended on whether or not people would enter within the next 5 minutes unannounced. If they would, then it is permitted, since that is dependent on committing an avera, and thus is not considered yichud. Okay, so let's try to understand. So in some places, like for example, like medical office. So you go to the medical office, right? Let's say it's down the hall, and the door is open but closed. The door is closed, but anyway you're going to try to open it. Maybe it's not locked, right? So that's the kind of situation we're talking about here. So one more time, the poskim discuss at length the situation when the door is closed but unlocked. So how is it probable that people are going to try to come in if the door is closed, basically? The final ruling is that it depends on whether or not people would enter within the next 5 minutes. So 5 minutes. So 5 minutes. It's pretty like big traffic, right? People going back and forth. 5 minutes, right? Would enter unannounced. So it's okay. If they would, then it is permitted, since there is the deterrent for permitting an avera, committing. I'm sorry. For this is deterrent for committing an avera, right? So meaning they're not going to do avera as a sin, because why? Because maybe somebody is going to come, so thus it is not considered yichud. Okay, continue. A woman who is being interviewed by a man, or who visiting a male doctor, must bear in mind that these halachas. It is preferable for a door to be left ajar, right? If not, secretaries and nurses should be allowed to walk in at any moment. Ideally, the husband should accompany his wife to the appointment to prevent any question of yichud. All things being equal, poskim strongly suggest that the woman choose a female doctor, as this avoids many serious halachic issues. Okay, so let's discuss this part. So a woman who is being interviewed by a man. So that's the problem. Usually they close the door, right, when there's an interview, and they ask for nobody to come into and not to interrupt. That's the issue, right? A woman who is being interviewed by a man, or who is visiting a male doctor, must bear in mind these halachas. So we always recommend and tell women not to go to the male doctor. Right? Today there are so many female doctors, so many, and they I mean, unless this is the doctor. So the exception would be he's the biggest specialist in his field, and he's the only one, and there is no woman that is even close. But I don't know, so far, like for all the students that ask us to find for them a doctor, we were able to find, especially where I live, there is several organizations, right, kosher organization, and they actually like give free advice. They're not, I mean, maybe some of them like retired medical professionals, I guess, I don't know these people, but run by a rabbi, of course, supervised by him, and you describe what doctor, what problem do you have, and they would suggest you a kosher doctor for a man or for a woman. We would always call them, and they always give the top doctor, the top. Okay, it's very interesting. Okay, but and always they have female doctors for my wife, like always, like very highly professional. Okay, so unless, as we said, there is exception that he's some kind of like star in his field. Okay. Continue. It is preferable for a door to be left ajar. So I mean, if ajar, but always this the nurses come in, and I'm not sure if our medical professional is there, but what he told me when he's working, our dear friend, he's working in what is it, emergency room, and when a doctor has to, or even a nurse has to like examine a woman, so they usually go like, and if it's male, a nurse, so they have to go in pairs. So it's never alone. That's actually the policy of the hospital, right? So otherwise they would sue them, and nobody needs the headache, but it's actually halakha. Okay. Right, or nurses can be allowed to come in and go out. If not, secretaries or nurses should be allowed to walk in at any moment. Okay, and that's usually the case. And sometimes they knock, sometimes they don't knock, and they just come in. Ideally, a husband should accompany his wife to the appointment to prevent any questions of yichud. Okay, all things being equal, poskim strongly suggest that a woman chose a female doctor as to avoid many serious halakhic issues. Okay, so that's what we said. It's proper for a woman to find a female doctor, and even if maybe wait as long, I mean, that depends on where exactly you live. Maybe in some countries there are not so many female doctors, but I mean, as a specialist, some kind of specialist. But it's better to wait and go to female doctor than to male. Okay. Okay, especially when you need to undress. So if it's for dentists, I guess it's not a big deal, but still. Okay. Continue. The laws of open doors permitting yichud apply to the seclusion with the non-Jews as well. So one more time, the laws of open doors permitting yichud apply to seclusion with non-Jews as well, meaning that the door is open and anybody can come in. So basically there is doesn't matter it's a Jew or not Jew, the only difference, so one is prohibited by biblical law, one is by rabbinical law, so it's basically it's still prohibited. Okay, continue. However, in case where there are two individuals have casual relationship with each other, called libo, gazba, many poskim maintain that it does not help to have the door open. Since they are familiar with each other, an open door may not deter them from doing an aveira. Example include a man with his daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, niece, aunt, cousin, neighbor, fellow employee. Okay, let's read. And unfortunately, many people ignore these halachas and they rely on themselves too much, and does not many times does not end up very well for them and for the whole family, for everybody around them, because they ignore these halachas. So one more time, and we're going to explain. However, in the case when there are two individuals who have casual relationships, so it's not that they know each other, they're friendly, very friendly. So all of this, what we said before, we said that like not so casual relationship, right? Which is other called libo bas ba. Many poskim maintain that it does not help to have the door open, meaning somebody just because the door open and maybe somebody is going to come in the next 5 minutes, maybe not. So you need somebody like there, like extra person basically. I mean, we did not say that, but we're going to see. Since they are familiar with each other, an open door may not deter them from doing aveira. Okay, so what if the door is open? Crazy people. So example include a man with his daughter-in-law, and that's unfortunately happened not once. I mean, even from my experience, it's very, very sad what happened. Of course, the whole family went on fire and crazy, right? Man with his daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, that's also mother-in-law. Even Torah said, we learn in the parasha that all of the curses that Hashem sent to people who have this relationship does not, unfortunately, does not stop everybody, right? Niece, aunt, cousin, neighbor, or fellow employee. If room where a man and woman alone has a window that people constantly passing by and can see through, there is the shades are open, and there is no sun glare. Okay, this avoid the situation of yichud. So basically, if it's on the first floor, and I guess very low, there is some first floor like it's above the lobby, so it's very high. But here it's like very low, so you can see from the street what is going on inside. Like sometimes in the banks, right? In the banks they have this glass from almost from the floor to the top. So I'm not sure how this privacy works with the computers. I don't know, but you can see from the street everything that's going on, what's going on there. Not in a cubicles. That's another issue, but many things you can see. Okay, so if you can see everything, like the whole room from the outside, from the window, so it would not be considered seclusion. Next one. Any questions before we continue on what we said?
Rabbi.
Go ahead.
So last week when we were going over this class, it was about this topic, and then also Rabbi Reuven also went over on Wednesday about Pashana. So, really? And then I had a situation happen last week. And it had to do with this law, because I was going into apartments to relight kitchen appliances because we were doing a gas work there. Mm-hmm. And I was going inside apartment buildings, and there was this one specific apartment building where there was this little girl alone, but she didn't tell me she was alone. So I had to ask her, I'm like, are you someone in there? And she said, yeah. And then when I went in, there was no one in there. I was like, hey, is there anyone in here? Mm-hmm. She's like, no. I'm like, okay, you got to leave the door open and stay all the way in the front door. Yes. And I'm going to just light everything, and then we're going to switch places. Because I was like, oh, I don't want... this came to mind. So I was like, oh my goodness, Baruch Hashem, I learned about this.
That's very improper, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's very improper for you to be inside and the little girl there. Yeah, but when she's standing outside of the door while you're exactly as you did, while you're doing the work inside, there is that's the only permissible way, basically. So like everybody see that she's out, passing by.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Yes, you see how it's all come together, and that's when we started this class. Even though I said to everybody it's halachas for women, but it's applied to men as well. It's like most of these halachas are applied to men.